Entry-level jobs suck. But why? Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And I'm sure for the people that are working entry-level jobs right now, or that are trying to, or that have worked, an entry-level job in the past, or those who are even trying to get into an entry-level job right now. You may have wondered, why do they suck so much? Again, this goes for the people that have worked an entry-level job. Most likely they know what I'm talking about. And it's just like, the tasks you do are super repetitive. You feel like there's no point to doing them. For example, if you're working in a restaurant, everything you do is super repetitive. There's basically no point to it. And it's just the same thing every shift. So you're kind of thinking, okay, well, what am I doing? Not to mention the pay is not great, unless you're working at fancy restaurants, because then you get a lot in tips. But, again, they're just not good. And I think basically what my point is that they're not good or they suck because you don't know why you're there. So there's almost no purpose to being there except just working, just like doing the stuff that you're supposed to do. And because your job is not high skilled, it's, again, you're just there to do manual labor basically. You feel like your work is not building much. But at the end of the day, someone has to do it. Because ultimately the way I think about it, it's like, because you have the boomer way of looking at it, like, oh, you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just work hard every single day. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we don't live in a boomer age anymore, like where you can work off of a basic salary for 5 years and be able to afford a house and then have a family. Nowadays it's basically, because for example, the average price of the average price of a house nowadays is about $600,000. And so, however, the median salary is $52,000. And so, which is why, as a side note, why both parents have to work just to make ends meet. Because could you imagine trying to raise a family off of $52,000 today? Like, there's no way, And so, even if you take the median age or the median wage, then you have rent, you have the food, you have the utilities. And so you're kind of left with, if you're lucky, $5,000 saved up every year. And even if you're doing that, what is that? That's, yeah, I mean, you don't even need to do the math. That's going to take a long time to save up enough money to buy a house. Even if you're taking out a mortgage, because you're still going to have to pay out the mortgage, just to be able to own the house. Or else, oh, you can't afford your mortgage? Okay, well, we're taking your house. We're repossessing your house. Good luck. Then you're back to renting again. And so, which is, again, why both parents have to work. Because if they don't, you're just not going to be able to afford anything. And so, the old way of things are, I mean, I'm not the first person to say it. I'm sure you've heard so many other people say it on the internet, but the old way of things it's dead. It's gone. I think the old way of life where you could, be able to afford a family off one salary, like a basic salary that a majority of people could afford. And when I mean a majority, I mean like 70% of the workforce could afford. That probably died. Yeah, I say it died probably in the early 70s when you had insane amounts of inflation that just destroyed the average person's ability to afford, just basic necessities. And so nowadays, it's either okay, you work as hard as possible to get to the top 10% of just salaries or income, so we can afford that basic lifestyle that your grandparents could afford 50 years ago, or or yeah, 50, 60 years ago, or you have to play the game differently. Because, just like with a new game, there comes new rules, there comes new strategies, new tools, and yeah. And so the Gen Z way of looking at it could be like, yeah, maybe like, this is what's the point of this? If I can do something else and I can make just as much money, what's the point of this? Um, or maybe if I know for a fact that working 40 hours a week isn't going to give me the life I want, then why don't I do something else? Like for example, and that's what I mean by new tools and new opportunities. For example, you have online, the internet has opened up a lot of opportunities for young people, whether it's YouTube, whether it's freelancing, whether it's drop shipping, whether it's, any sort of e-commerce, or, or the explosion of day trading, or there's so many more. There really is. Or maybe like being a virtual assistant. And there's just so much you can do nowadays. Don't get me wrong, it's harder than ever to be able to afford basic necessities, but the introduction of the internet has opened up a lot of opportunities for us. It's just you kind of have to you have to be willing to seek it out to find it. And it kind of comes down to, hopefully you find it, or hopefully make it, once you find out what tools and what opportunities you're willing to chip away at. And so basically the whole reason why I went on that funky rant was because entry level jobs suck, because they promise they don't well they don't promise you a life that you were gonna get 50 years ago. And so you're just working just to work, not gonna be able to afford much. Um, you have no purpose, basically. I mean, your purpose is just is that, oh yeah, I spend time doing stuff, but it's not like it's that much. And again, the pay is just not good. And the saying goes, sometimes you have to work smarter, not harder. Of course, you still work hard. Not saying don't work hard and be lazy, but there's just, again, it's just a different game. So you have to play it in a different way. Yeah. But anyways, that should do it. If you appreciated any of this, appreciate your time, feel free to give it a like, or comment in the comment section down below, or subscribe to my channel. Yeah, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And ultimately, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.